And somebody who's very special in this place, who doesn't get seen publicly very much, is probably one of the most key people in this place and on our journey, and that's Liz Smallwood. And you have a very big treat today, because she rarely comes and speaks publicly. But she's going to come and tell you something now. We're going to celebrate in the history, celebrating the 10 years that we've had in here, and then look into the future. But Liz, let's welcome her. Hey. I'll give her a big hug. I'll get out for you.
Thank you. Oh, okay. I don't know. Can you hear me? Yes. Oh, this is all very scary. But it's a real privilege to start off today, where we're celebrating this building coming into being, those first 10 years, and looking ahead to the next 10 years. So first of all, I just wanted to say, we talk about church as a building, but actually, first and foremost, church is the people. And that's all of you, that's all of us. So as I go through some of the history, for me, it's God working through people's lives. And it's working through the words that he's given us as well, that have encouraged and spurred people on through that journey, which at times it's been quite a challenge. So he set a dream. God set a dream for us here, and pressing through in that dream sometimes brought its joy. It's brought its challenges as well. So as I talk through things, forgive me if I don't get things quite in the right chronological order, or I don't mention someone, or it's a long story. There's a lot of detail, and I want to make sure there's plenty of time to talk about the future as well. It's good to talk about the past, to understand the foundations that we stand on here. So our literal foundations of the building and the spiritual foundations. But we're interested in what's to come as well. So if we start at the beginning, back in the year, around about the year 2000, I think probably it was planted a little bit before then, but there was a dream planted in a church that was based out in New Ash Green. I believe then we were called New Ash Green Community Church. Can't remember when we exactly became North Kent Community Church. But that dream was planted, and one of the leaders at that time was Pete. And I really see that as your dream, for having a place where hundreds of people could come and worship Jesus. And as I've said, it's been a long journey, and just your faith, your tenacity has brought us through to things that I never thought or imagined could happen. And that takes real faith and real strength to be able to do that. So amazing. I think if I'm honest, along that journey, there were times I thought, is it actually ever going to happen? And I'm sure a few people felt that as well. But it did, and it has. And it's alive and happening. So amazing. I believe Jim Hunter is here as well today. He was He was part of that leadership team that actually steered this church through the journey of bringing this building into being. And I remember you for your absolute love of children and youth, which still lives through today, and we'll talk about more later. And along the journey of getting to this place, we had a few false starts. There were some projects that we thought might be the answer, and one of them I really remember was the old cinema in Gravesend Centre. And we went to see the building one day, and we were taken through right up into the top, into the projection room, which was just completely infested with pigeons. And as we walked in, these pigeons went everywhere. And I remember seeing one of them skim the top of Jim's head, which I think you might attribute to some of your loss of hair. But yeah, one of those memories. In 2005, New Ash Green Church joined with Living Hope Church from Gravesend. They agreed that they would bring the two churches together. And I think the Living Hope Church, you'd had a word about receiving reinforcements. And there we are, New Ash Green Community Church. we were the reinforcements. And also around that time as well, there was, I believe it was David Stevens had a picture of God lifting up a torch. To like the spread, as you lift up a torch over a map, it actually covers a bigger area. And I think that connecting with Living Hope and everything really help us to focus a little bit on this area and explore the opportunities here. There's one other word that I've forgotten to mention as well that was given to Pete as well during this time from someone who wasn't connected with us directly in any way and didn't necessarily know what was going on. And he said to Pete, he said, "I see God placing you at the Eastgate of the city." So that word has had huge significance for us. And at the time, we thought it was the City of London with all the rail links and everything that go into the eastern side of London. But as things unfolded, we found ourselves at the east of a new city that was created, this Ebbsfleet Garden City that stretches across over from an easterly direction that way. But as you know, this building is called Eastgate, and as time went on, it was logical to call the church Eastgate. That had huge, huge significance for us. So as the focus came a little bit more into this sort of direction, several people became aware of the plans around this area for a huge amount of redevelopment work. And Springhead was the first part of that. And within the planning requirements, there was provision for a worship facility and a community facility. So there were a few people that were involved in kind of like really highlighting that for us. So Stephen Marion Dixon down here. And also a lovely lady called Mary Smith, who was a planner and was part of this church at that time. There were probably others, but they made us aware of the opportunity here that we were really able to develop on. We had to put in a bid, so we had to work with the current landowners at that stage, and we basically put in a proposal for what we wanted to do. And again, I just want to celebrate Dave Joslin within that. He works here, still works here, and his presentation skills, his wording skills around that, and then again into a big business plan that we also had to do to raise the funds. That's another story. It just his skills around here as we've developed this building. Amazing. So this is probably a good point to talk about someone else as well. So he is currently now one of the directors here and the chairman of our trustees, David Stevens. So another little bit of the God threading through the journey. So David worked in construction for many years, and God gave him an opportunity to come here to oversee this site. So the building of all the houses and everything around here. And that put him in such a unique position. So a bit of a conflict of interest, but you were very honest about that, and I honour you for the path that you trod through that. But there are things that happened because God put you in that place that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't. So we also have a team of trustees here, Eastgate trustees. So they have the legal responsibility for everything that happens here. So through this process as well, they were having to take a lot of responsibility around authorising the finance, working alongside that. So a lot of the legal agreements and that kind of thing were in their name because they're the company directors, the charity directors. So our current trustees are Dennis Scudder, Akin Ozibudu, Hugh Richard, David Stevens, and also Paul Bungay as well. And I'd love to give a quick mention to Keith McDowell, because you retired from the role a little while ago, but in those early stages, you were very much a part of everything as well. So through the journey as well, God gave us favour with some key people involved in the project. So as I said, the land that everything's built on here was originally owned by a company called Land Securities. Later, it passed into the hands of Countryside. But within Land Securities, there was one guy that really caught on the vision, the dream that we had. And he helped through an awful lot of challenges. If you imagine, so we effectively were, I suppose, in church sizes, and we're not necessarily that small, but as a church, we had no experience of running a building, building a building, whatever, and so people had to put quite a lot of trust in us. We knew we could do it. We knew God was in it, but actually helping explain that on to others, was a challenge. So we had favour with Land Securities, also with the planners, because this building had to be designed and pass through planning. There was one planner as well that really supported us. And our local MP as well, he's still the MP for this area, Adam Holloway. We did ask him to be here today, but unfortunately he had another engagement in a cathedral. I'm not going to say which one, but I don't know. Cathedral is against Eastgate, 10 years, thousands of years. Yeah, anyway. I'm sure he'd love to have been here if he could. Also, along the journey, we have the team that designed. Well, they were on the journey with some of our other ideas, but other opportunities. But as this one became really concrete, the design for this actual building, and that's Martin Steele, who's over there. And Richard Coates as well. And later on, Jason Scammell. There you are. particularly when we built the annex as well. And also, I don't know if the wonderful Martin Tickner is here. Yay. Our amazing quantity surveyor. So you were in charge of buying all the procurement and sort of like the finances of it. I'm still not quite sure how all the finances worked out, but we'll talk about that too. So I remember the day when we first sat down to plan this building. I think we thought you'd come with a design, thought you were going to have this room here, that room there, and blah, 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 there'd be toilets and blah, blah, blah. But you didn't. You sat us down and you divided us into different age groups. Some of us had to pretend to be children, some teenagers, adults, whatever. And it's a bit like, within that age group, what do you want from this building? What is it? What do you want? What do you want this place to be for you? From that, they produced this most amazing design that has been such a pleasure to fill and to work with and see so many people enjoying across the years. So thank you so much. So we talked about raising funds. So just a small detail of raising an awful lot of money to build this place. And this is where Chrissy Hudson comes in. So your fundraising skills, amazing. You hosted dinners in the Houses of Parliament. Again, that connection with Adam Holloway, he helped facilitate that. Curry nights, brochures, contacts with all sorts of people, and also you really spearheaded community here as well. Because even before this building was built, you were out there connecting with the houses that existed over this part of Spring Head. So thank you so much. So alongside the fundraising, we also had to borrow money. Now that was a fun journey too. Again, as I say, we had no track record of building a building like this and running it. So finding a lending institution to lend us £1.3 million was fun. We'd done a great business plan. It was full of faith and what we knew we were heading towards. But actually finding a bank to lend us money was hard work. We did eventually, Metro Bank said that they would lend us the money. And this is mainly, I think, this bit sat with Pete, that there was, I believe there came a time when they said, oh yes, you can have the money, but we want guarantors. We want people who will come up with large sums of money in case something goes wrong. So there are people in this room, people perhaps who aren't with us now, they actually put their houses on the line to guarantee what happened at this building and guarantee the finances around it. A few years in, we proved we could do it. Actually, on paper and our accounts proved we could do it, and we were able to refinance, and we've been able to release those guarantors. So that thank you, Father, for that as well. So as I say, I'm sorry if I've missed someone out of that journey, but it's a big story. So we opened in December 2013, and what's happened since then? I think Pete has talked about this, some of this already. If you just think about the worship that's gone and prayer and praise that's gone on in this auditorium alone, every Sunday during the week, we've run conferences here. We've hosted guest speakers from America, Bill Johnson, Randy Clark, again, Julian Adams, Roland Baker, Joaquin Evans, the list goes on. And so that this building has been filled not only with people who are part of this church family, but people coming and learning and wanting to know more. One thing, and I'm sorry if I am dotting around, but I just actually, and I know I'd forget to say it, I just wanted to honour Dave Webster as well in that journey too. Sorry. I knew I would forget someone with it. But actually, for me, what really sticks out is that idea, that royal identity. So that journey we were on with our connection with Bethel and everything, just helping to people to really understand their identity in Jesus. And thank you. That's amazing. amazing. So we've connected with the community. The community has literally grown around us. There were some houses when we first moved in, but we were in a little island up here on our own. The houses have grown around us. The primary school has come opposite. We've hosted Christmas fairs, nativities, Easter egg hunts, summer fairs in the park, light parties on the 31st of October. There's parents and toddler groups in the building, under 5 story and song and crafts, and so much more. The community come in here to host their children's birthday parties, their family celebrations, and so much more. We've hosted weddings here, sadly some funerals. We've celebrated babies, and we've celebrated new life, spiritual new life. Think about the baptisms that have happened here. The cafe downstairs that was designed to welcome people into the building, the community that have come into that. I wonder how many coffees and cakes and sandwiches Mel and Dean and their team have made over the years. I think Dean is busy downstairs cooking pizza as we speak. So charities, businesses have held their meetings here. That journey of that 10 years, that you can't help but just there was that phase of the pandemic as well. After spending years encouraging people into the building, having to close was very, very, very tough. But through that, I don't know if you remember, we really, again through Pete, we really wanted to honour the NHS for what they did, and we took an offering which raised an amazing amount of money, about £80,000, and some of that we used to we hosted tea parties to celebrate workers at Darrant Valley, and also at the Gravesend minor injuries. And they came into this building, into our environment, and we celebrated them and thanked them. I mean, there was a lot more we did with that, but I just didn't even think of the offshoot of that, is that they saw this facility, and some of them have actually come here and used that. On a Wednesday morning, there's actually an outpatients group that come into one of the rooms downstairs. So this has proved an extra facility for them as well. So, Pete, again, I think you mentioned about the finance. Thank you for everyone who's given to this building. We set another dream about being debt-free, and that is, we still have a loan on this building. Call it the mortgage. We still owe Barclays some money, but through your contributions and some ongoing contributions, some people have given continually, right the way through this journey. We've been able to pay off an extra £120,000 over the last year off of that mortgage. So the other little thing that happened last year, which in some senses doesn't have a worldly significance, because we had a long leasehold on this building, 999 years, which I think probably would see most of us out. But we actually got the freehold of this land and the car park down the way. So for me, it's been a great privilege to be on this journey. I kind of think about Eastgate a little bit as like one of my children. It's been such a pleasure helping to bring it into being, help to create it, and help to nurture and see it grow. And I'm very excited about what the future holds as well. Thank you. Sorry, oh gosh, don't make me too embarrassed.
In a way, you did start by almost giving Liz her thanks, but it's very difficult to thank yourself. Right? But I just want to say, Liz, Liz is amazing administrator. She is so skilled in huge number of different areas, but she is so much more than that. So her spiritual wisdom and her spiritual faith have really been part of this journey, Liz. And when people come in, I don't know if you realise, some friends of ours, part of the church for over 10 years, came in and they thought they'd have a nice quiet cup of tea on a Wednesday morning. Little did they know, they were so surprised that this place was heaving on a Wednesday morning. And these people come in and they literally say, what is it about this place? It feels different. And it's an overflow of who we are on a Sunday, but it's also stewarded by Liz and her team. The presence of God is stewarded by Liz and her team. The way you do things is as important as how, as what you actually achieve through them. So Liz, we want to give a huge thank you to you. I do think Liz has mentioned everybody on my list, but this is my instructions. So in a little while, so don't clap till the end. Okay, but we are, because we'll be here all day. But I just want to say there were really, so obviously, I lived through all of the sort of going on, starting fundraising and everything as that. But I wasn't on the sort of coal face as it was. I wasn't on that front battle line. And the four people who really were there were Liz and Pete and David Joslin, who many of you might not even know, but he has faithfully worked for Eastgate for decades. And he was a huge part of getting the business plan that actually won us the right to do that, and David Stevens. So it was them. Of course, it was Martin and Richard, the architects. The trustees over the years, not just the present ones, but the trustees over the years, the guarantors of the mortgage. We've mentioned David Webster and Jim and previous directors. Chrissy, the benefactors. So thank you. I think some of you are here. Thank you, benefactors who have given to this building. Even though you're not part of us, you have supported us and enabled this, and we thank you so much. And Adam Holloway, our MP. But also, there's many people who I know, some of you have been here and who you've faithfully given for 23 years. You have been part of our journey for 23 years. Some of you, it's been less than that. I think, is there anyone here for the first time today? Anyone here for the first time, actually on a Sunday service? Anyone here? You're very welcome. We welcome everyone who's been part of this journey, whether it's, 2 weeks, 1 week, or the years. So we want to celebrate this list of people, the people who Oh, and Martin, over here somewhere, Martin Tickner, yes, as well. Sorry, you're not on missed you off my list. But all these people who have faithfully, been part of our journey, and you can stand and clap yourselves, okay? You're standing and clapping yourselves if you've been, faithfully part of this journey. And of course, we are celebrating God's faithfulness in all of this. So let's just give God and ourselves a round.
As I said, we've had a great 10 years. We're looking forward to the next 10, and then the 10 after that, and the 10 after that. Places for the generations. We we're going to welcome the children and the youth back in just a moment, okay? But just recognising what they're doing. And then we're going to talk about actually the future. Because it's great to celebrate the past, yeah? Remembering the past gives you some foundational ideas for the future. But I'm just so grateful that of the new people in Eastgate who are helping carry us into our future. And we're part of it. We're not going anywhere. But can we get the kids back in? We're going to celebrate the kids and the youth as they come in. So I want you, as they come back in, I'd like us to stand and celebrate them, okay? And all the ones that work with them. They should be coming. If not, it's going to be over to you, Dave. You're going to get... Their timing's off. I just hope they're not stuck in the cake room right now, because there was an idea that we might show them the cakes first. I said, that's a bad idea. We won't never get... I think there was faces at the door. There's some over this. Oh, no, that's one. That's one. You're going to get a big clap. Woo! I think they're the vanguard. How are we doing, Steph? I can see them coming over. Well, Dave, do you want to come up and start going, or do you want... You get that set up? Okay, so... Talk to each other while we're waiting. I'll tell some jokes. No jokes. Okay, no jokes. No joke. Okay. How about celebrating the thousands of healing miracles that have happened in this place and through here? Generally within church, but also actually with our healing centre team who've worked for... Well, before this building came into being, the healing centre existed, but then they've done 10 years. They kept on going faithfully, even through the pandemic online, and then we've seen many. Right, let's celebrate our children. Whoa!
We wanted to celebrate our children and youth because they're this generation as well as the future, aren't they? And we wanted to pray, give thanks for them. Let's celebrate the youth now as they come in. Children and young people of Eastgate, we celebrate you. We give thanks to God for you. We welcome you back into our auditorium as we look ahead to what God has for us. Okay.
All right. That's an amazing story, isn't it? Amazing story. And, we haven't been here for a lot of that story, have we? But having heard it, even hearing it afresh again now, it just brings it all back, and it's actually emotional. But we really wanted to take time now to look, okay, this is amazing. God's brought us here. This is the journey that's brought us here to now. We're the Eastgate's the city. Now what? What happens now? What does that mean? What do we do? Where are we going? What are we doing? And why are we doing it? So we want to take a little bit of time just to look at that together. So we're going to start with our why. Why are we here? Why has God placed us at the Eastgate to the city? And I suppose one way to answer that question is probably to think a little bit from this perspective. Each of us, I'm imagining, that are here because something drew us here. Something drew you here, or maybe you kind of stumbled across this place, but something made you come back. And for some people, that might be, oh, I felt the presence of God here. And there's something about the presence of God in this place. Other people might be like, oh, I just experienced breakthrough here. Or I just found freedom here, and I came alive here in a place that I hadn't quite had that before. Whatever it was, though, ultimately, it nearly always comes back to something, the same thing, and it's very, very simple, and it's this. We are here to set people on fire for God. That is the mandate of Eastgate. That's really what keeps us going. That's what makes us tick. And if that goes away, then Eastgate stops being Eastgate. Are we okay? Is it flickering? All right. Sorry if it's flickering. It's not the flames. But we are here to set one another on fire for God and to set nations on fire for God. So it doesn't matter whether you're young or you're old, whether you're already a believer or whether you're a not yet believer. Doesn't matter. We still want to set you on fire for him. In our church, in our region, we talked about that earlier, the impact on the region around us and the nations. That's the crux of what we're about here and what makes us tick as a community and should inform everything that we're about as a church family together. Okay, now, quite often when we do a talk about like vision type stuff or anything like that, people will come up to us afterwards and they'll be like, oh, that's great. That's really great. But what do we do? What do you want me to do? How do I play my part in this? And that's a really, really great question. So I've got 2 takeaways for all of us today, okay? So there's no excuse to ask that question today, okay? There's 2 takeaways today, okay? And they're really, really simple. Number 1, who's setting me on fire for God? In other words, am I just sitting around in the same comfortable friendship groups, my best friends all the time, having a nice, comfortable Christian life? Or am I pursuing those people who are maybe a little bit further along on their journey than I am, getting out of my comfort zone and being like, you know what, that person, they've got something. They've got something and I need more of that. So I'm going to pursue what they've got on their life. Or it might not necessarily just be an individual. It might be, oh, there's a conference coming up or a course that I heard about. You know what, it scares me a little bit. But that maybe is telling me I need to do it. What's setting me on fire for God? Who's setting me on fire for God? And that leads on to the second question is, who am I setting on fire for God? If every single one of us in this building had one person who we were intentionally receiving from and one person who we were intentionally pouring into, oh my goodness, the momentum in this place, you would not be able to stop it. It's that simple. If every single one of us, doesn't matter if you're 88 or you're 8, look for someone to set you more on fire for him. And look for someone who you can set them more on fire for him. If we all do that, oh my goodness, it's going to be so good in here. And the nations are going to get impacted, I'm telling you. All right, so is that okay? Does that all make sense? Now that's the why. That leads on to our what. So this premise of setting people on fire for God really determines what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. So I'm going to hand over to Steph now.
Cool. So what are we doing? We're setting people on fire for God and we're making sure we're on fire for God, yeah? Do I press the on button? Down button. Okay. And so as a team, as a directors team and as a leadership team, we have identified 5 priority areas that we're looking at and that we're prioritizing to prioritize this setting on fire for God. And it's all around those 2 key questions. Who's setting me on fire for God? Who am I setting on fire for God? And these are the 5 priority areas. We want to develop a strong church culture We wanted a self-reproducing culture of discipleship. We're preparing everyone for the harvest that's coming. Yes, we're quite full in here today, but I can still see some empty chairs, and there's some empty spaces, and we've got quite a lot of rooms downstairs. We use the school. We want new people, don't we? And we don't just want transfer growth. We don't want just people who are already Christians. We want to be impacting people with the gospel and the good news of Jesus so they can know his good news and be on fire and start setting people on fire. So we're preparing everyone for the harvest. We're prioritizing our young people. They're the future, aren't they? They're the people who we as adults should be investing in. I know you already know I'm really passionate about that, and that will always be my passion. But young people, you are our priority. You're the ones that we'd want to do everything for and with. So it's important that you know that you're on fire for God, and that who's setting you on fire and who you're setting on fire for God as well. We want to prioritize our young people. And we're making it a priority that we're starting from the inside out with making sure that we have a healthy core at the center of our church. We're setting those priorities as things that we're doing, as things that we're dreaming about, the things that we're asking God for, the things that we're putting our resource and our time and our energy into, those 5 priorities. And over the next year or so, until God tells us to move on to something different, you'll be hearing about those 5 priorities a lot. So listen out for them and think, what's my part in this? Where do I sit in each of those 5 different priorities? How am I growing? How am I developing? How am I helping develop those 5 priorities? 5 priorities. So, for example, today came out of wanting to prioritize a healthy church family. So yes, we're celebrating 10 years, but actually what God gave us a picture of was having family days, where as a church family, we move on, we grow, and we develop together. So look out for those church family days over the next year or so. There'll be more. They'll be dealing with different things and focusing on different things, but they're a priority, because if we're not connected together and building one another and growing one another as a healthy, full-on church family of all ages, then we're not doing what God has told us to do. And then I want to introduce to you Feast on Him, which is something that you'll be hearing about more in the next few weeks, but it's going to start with a week of fasting, not feasting, fasting. Yay! Some of us are more excited about that than others. Yeah. We're going to start by fasting together as a church family and seeking God and saying, God, what is your dream? What is your plan? What do you want us to do? And then we're going to have a series of Friday night times of prayer and worship together. So put those in your diary. As soon as you hear about them, put them in your diary. Prioritize them. Say, this is important. We want to feast on Him. We want to feast in His presence. All ages can do that and come to that. You might want to think about the fasting, but, it's a good thing to do. So look out for Feast on Him. Look out for Harvest 24. Do you want to talk about that?
Who's already heard about Harvest 24? Who's already got a ticket? Get your hand there if you've got a ticket. Some people. It's coming up. This is a huge. That's why we came up with the idea of prioritizing this as an event this year and not doing things like some of the other conferences we've done previous years. It came out of these priorities. We identified that we have to get ourselves ready for harvest. Jesus said, open your eyes and see that the fields are already white for harvest, didn't he? And I think what we really want to do is get ourselves ready as workers ready for that. And we believe every single one of us, it doesn't matter what your personality type is, your gifting, how confident you feel at this kind of thing, you have a unique, special, and incredibly valuable role to play in this. And God has graced you with something in this, whether you believe it or not, He really, really has. So I would encourage you, sign up to that. We're not going to make you do anything you don't want to do, but we want to pour into you, and we want God to pour into us and breathe something into us that we really believe is going to be significant and set us on fire for this in a whole new way. So please do consider signing up to that. If you have financial difficulties, but you want to come, please get in touch with the office because we still want you to be part of it.
And it's in March, just before Easter. And there's going to be stuff for young people and kids as well, so get involved in that. And then there's our day conference. There's no Junior Holy Spirit. Which we've run for a few years. We did one before COVID, then we had a break, and then we ran another one. And this year, it's really focusing, God's really put on my heart to really focus on equipping parents and children's workers to equip world changers. Okay, so if you're a parent, a grandparent, working with kids, doing anything with kids and young people, you need to be there. It's on Saturday, June the 8th. We're inviting other people to come as well. And I just want to say, our kids' worship bands are going to lead us in worship. And it's all going to be about equipping, and our kids are also going to run the prophetic booths. They're going to run encounter spaces. Our kids are going to be fully involved in that and part of that. So parents, get that date in your diary. You need to be here, okay? And your kids need to be there. And Tunde is going to be one of our keynote speakers. And there's some other people that we've got relationship with who are doing amazing things with parents and with kids and with young people. It's a great day to come because we genuinely believe there's no Junior Holy Spirit. There is no Junior Holy Spirit. So we want our kids to be inputting into us as adults, and we want to be inputting into them, and we want to equip you as parents and as children's leaders to do that in an amazing way.
All right, now our who. This is going to be, we're nearly there. For those who are thinking about cake, I'm sorry, we're nearly there, okay? But it's important just to talk about us as a team, and then we're going to go on and talk a bit further after that as well. But we are led by a core team of directors, and many of you will know that. But we do get a lot of questions about, okay, how does leadership work here, and who does what? So we thought, you know what, we're just going to give you a little bit of a snapshot of us as a team, what our roles are roughly. But I think I really have to massively caveat this. We put 3 things next to each person's name, but there probably should be about 20 things next to each person's name. So it's not an exhaustive list by any means. But okay, so this is the team of directors. So starting at the top, we have the amazing Steph here. And Steph is responsible for the pastoral side of things, and obviously children and young people as well as many other things that we couldn't fit on there. Obviously, we've had Liz speaking out here this morning. And if Liz wasn't here, nothing would happen. And let's just put it like that. Nothing would happen at all, basically. But she looks after the operations side of things, our community, loads of different aspects of community interaction and administration as well. And then Kim, who's already been up here this morning. Kim does an amazing job and has done for a really long time leading ESL, Eastgate School of Spiritual Life, which is an amazing, powerful discipleship tool that has transformed so many lives, as well as so many other things like kingdom culture and all these other amazing things that Kim does as well.
And then we also have Dave. A number of Daves and Davids. Dave, who is kind of apostolic and evangelism, and so heads up those kind of parts of church life. But also he kind of heads up our directors team. Can I point out, that doesn't mean he leads us. It means he makes sure that we are talking about the right things in the right place at the right time. We are all leading, all equally, but that's his role, and that's where his skill comes, because he's a strategic thinker. Okay? Then we've got Pete, who is also apostolic and has a real focus, which we all know, on Europe and on networking with other churches and on making sure that we're not being an island on our own. And that's his apostolic gifting, and leading us and making sure that we are connecting with what's going on around and what making sure that heaven to earth comes and that we're impacting earth. So there's Pete. And then there's amazing Paul Bungay. Paul and David Stevens are amazing because they do it in their spare time. We're kind of paid for our time here. It's different amounts of time. But Paul and David do this in their spare time. And I just want to honour them as giving up lots and lots of time to us as a church family and to us as a directors team. And Paul's real giftings are really in helping us develop culture and our church culture, and as being part of our worship and music team. And he's also one of our trustees. And then there's David Stevens, who we've heard a little bit about already today. But he really heads up his chair of our trustees and takes a lead in safeguarding and in love after marriage, our course, our equipping for people who are either newly married or have been married a long time, and making sure pastorally them, along with Kate, are well looked after. So we have a team with huge responsibilities, but huge giftings. And together, we lead it in a way that works and knits together and honours one another, and make sure that we're like, what do you need in this place? What do you need for this to happen? How can we resource you? How can we help you? But also, how can I stand behind you and lift you up? Which is really important. I just want to, I know Liz has done a little bit of this, but I want to honour the fact that me and Dave are standing on the shoulders of giants almost. And I want to honour those who've been directors for a long time, but also those who were directors before us and brought myself and Dave and Paul in. So I want to honour Dave Carter. I don't know if he was doing youth, so I don't know if he's still up here. And Donna as well. And then, of course, David Webster. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now if it wasn't for those shoulders that we're standing on.
All right, so we've had it on our hearts for some time that we actually needed to expand leadership outside of our team, and that we really wanted to recognize some amazing people in the environment who are already contributing so much, carrying a lot, we feel like, not just have a gift, but have a gift to help lead Eastgate forward as well, and who would help us in terms of actually pushing forward with some of those five priority areas that we talked about. So we started working on something imaginatively called the wider leadership team, because it's a wider leadership team. And so really what we wanted to do today is introduce those people to you, for us all to celebrate them and pray for them, if that's all right. So I'm going to hand over to Steph.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Poor Dave hasn't been well this week and his brain's not always connecting, so I'm going to do this. So if your name is on the screen, can you stand up when I call them out, and then we'll celebrate them together. So can we celebrate Joe Bungay, Kate Foggan, who's not here and not well, Ali Goss, David Coyer, Ross Hardy, Nikki Coyer, Liz Lunt, Shola Obashola, Mark Seeger, Tunde Obashola, Julia Thompson, Akin Takare, Mark Thompson, and David Webster. Can you all stand up? Can we just say thank you to you for this new season that you are helping us to steward well, you are helping us to walk into. And we want to honour you for the time that you give to us, the strategic thinking that you bring to us, the wisdom that you bring to us, but also for the way that you are championing us looking forward and looking ahead, and what God is saying about that. Should we just hold our hands out to these guys? Thank you, Jesus, for each of the people written on this list and the people who are standing up. Jesus, thank you for the way that you have gifted them. Thank you for what you have already stewarded in their life. That means that when they speak from a place of experience as well as heavenly wisdom. And Jesus, we just want to ask you to pour your fire on them right now. Your holy fire. Your holy fire to come and to fill them, to equip them, to anoint them. Jesus, thank you for the more that you are placing in their hands and in the hands of those who are leading this place. Thank you for the variety of giftings that they represent. Thank you for the truth that they release. Jesus, would you protect them? Would you guide them? Would you strengthen them? Amen.
All right, we're about done. But I just wanted to leave you with these two questions again, okay? And I want to set you up with a challenge, okay? For the next month, set yourself a challenge of, okay, if I'm not actively doing something in these two areas, what could I change about that? Okay, so if I'm not actively receiving from somebody who's going to set me more on fire for him, okay, find that person, find that course, find that conference, whatever it looks like, find that school and sign up to it. Take a step. And equally, who am I pouring into? Is there someone that actually, you know what, I could look out for them. I might not even know them yet. Maybe I kind of know them. But actually, I would like to make a point of pouring into their life, setting them more on fire for Jesus. Okay, is that good? All right, awesome. I'm going to hand back to Pete.
Isn't that good? Lots to celebrate. Can we get the worship team come back up now? I was sifting through the thousands and thousands of stories I have from the last 10 years of Eastgate and think, God, would you highlight one to me? And he said, it reminded me of a prophecy that we were given in 2010 by a man called James Maloney. And he said to us as a church that we had a 3 to 4 year window of opportunity, and it was very clear, to create a portal of heaven on earth. And we believed that was important. That included the reality of this building. And we did it in 3.5 years. And I believe that's an ongoing call of the church. It's not just the building, but actually this is what we're meant to be, a place where people literally experience heaven on earth. And one testimony that God highlighted to me was an interesting one. We had a Heaven Healthcare conference a few years back, and one of the speakers asked if her sister could just come for the Friday evening, which was fine. But the sister was just visiting from Nigeria and flying back to Nigeria the next day on a very early flight, so she could only come for the evening. But due to transport difficulties, she didn't get here till late. She was here for just a short space of time, but actually, during the meeting, God just met her, and I remember she fell on under a trance in the power of God, pretty much down the centre aisle here, and was with God in a trance for about an hour, in which he downloaded to her strategic plans for reprogramming the healthcare system of Nigeria. And she went back to Nigeria and did it. And and it was, I thought, okay, she was here for an hour. What can God do in his presence, eh? Let's ask and imagine. Let's celebrate with God. Let's dream into the future. God's presence here will do more than we would ever ask or imagine through his power that's at work within us. So let's stand. We're going to celebrate. And then later on, you're going to get cake. This is more important than cake, though, okay? So.